At 74, Princess Anne has finally admitted what many long suspected: her relationship with Princess Diana was far from easy. In a rare moment of openness, the famously stoic royal has broken her silence on the complex and often fraught connection between herself and the people's princess. For decades, the tension between the two women was a topic of speculation, whispered about within palace walls and sensationalized in the press. Now, as Anne reflects on her life and legacy, she offers a glimpse into the truth behind the distance, regrets, and contrasting values that shaped their relationship. Princess Anne has long been regarded as one of the British royal family's most hardworking members, reputation rooted in her no-nonsense approach to royal duties. This steadfast dedication has earned her respect both within the palace and beyond. She has maintained an intense schedule of royal engagements, public appearances, and charitable work, often outpacing other family members in sheer workload. Her sense of duty is unwavering, grounded in the belief that royalty must serve without seeking praise or applause. For Anne, the work itself is paramount, and the personal rewards of service are meant to remain in the background. Anne's reputation as a grounded, pragmatic royal stands in stark contrast to the glitz and glamour often associated with other members of the family. She has consistently championed causes she deeply believes in, focusing on serious issues such as healthcare and international development, while avoiding the spotlight. Anne prefers to let her actions speak for themselves, even as social media and celebrity culture have reshaped public expectations of the monarchy. She has held firmly to her belief that royal duty is about quiet dedication rather than self-promotion. This dedication is rooted in her early years as the second child and only daughter of Queen Elizabeth II. From her mother's example, Anne adopted a traditional view of monarchy, seeing the royal family as a symbol of continuity and stability, where each member fulfills their role without courting public favor or fanfare. This traditional approach to duty often drew comparisons to Anne's younger, more modern relatives, particularly Princess Diana. When Diana entered the royal family, she brought a fresh energy and a unique ability to connect with the public. Diana's charisma and warmth endeared her to people around the world, quickly transforming her into a global icon. Her openness and relatability marked a sharp departure from Anne's reserved style, a contrast that did not go unnoticed. For many, Diana represented a new kind of royal, one unafraid to show vulnerability and leverage her public image for the causes she supported. This difference in approach created an unspoken tension between Anne and Diana. Diana saw her position as an opportunity to use her platform for change, while Anne viewed the growing focus on personal image with skepticism. To Anne, the increased attention on individual royals risked overshadowing the importance of the work itself. She struggled to reconcile Diana's style with her own deeply ingrained values, and believed that true commitment to royal duty meant working behind the scenes, keeping private life out of public view, and avoiding validation from the media or the public. Diana's approach represented a departure from the steadfast traditions Anne had worked so hard to uphold. This fundamental contrast in values and perspectives set the stage for a clash, fueling the tensions that simmered between the two women. The values Anne held dear seemed under threat as the royal family adapted to a new, media-driven era. Little did she know that these differences would only deepen, and her steadfast commitment to duty would be viewed as a defining characteristic that distanced her from Diana's public persona. As Anne's legacy continues to grow, her work ethic remains her greatest pride, but it also serves as a reminder of the stark contrast within the royal family, a contrast that became even more apparent as Diana's influence grew and redefined what it meant to be a royal in the modern age. When Princess Diana stepped into the royal spotlight, she brought a whirlwind of change. Young, glamorous, and media-savvy, Diana instantly captivated the public's attention, creating a wave of admiration that had not been seen within the monarchy for decades. Her natural charisma and openness won hearts worldwide, and her genuine warmth struck a chord that sharply contrasted with the formality often associated with the royal family. However, while the public embraced Diana as a fresh and relatable royal figure, not everyone within the family viewed her presence with the same enthusiasm. For Princess Anne, Diana's arrival marked the beginning of an unspoken tension that only intensified over time. From the outset, Anne struggled to understand Diana's approach to royal life, and believed that the monarchy's strength lay in tradition, duty, and reserved dignity. Her own understated style focused on the work itself rather than the personal recognition it might bring. To Anne, the crown's integrity depended on preserving an aura of mystery and decorum, qualities that protected the monarchy from the shifting tides of public opinion. Diana's inclination to engage with the media and connect directly with the public disrupted this delicate balance, leaving Anne skeptical of what she saw as Diana's attention-seeking behavior. Anne's reservations deepened as Diana's popularity soared. Diana's relationship with the media felt to Anne like a departure from the principles that had long governed the royal family. Diana's willingness to share glimpses of her personal life and her highly visible humanitarian efforts struck Anne as unconventional, if not outright self-promotional. Anne viewed these actions with caution, convinced that Diana's openness could invite unwanted scrutiny and potentially weaken the royal image. Where Diana saw an opportunity to humanize the monarchy, and perceived a risk to the institution's stability. A particularly symbolic moment of tension arose when Diana's public image began to eclipse that of other royals, including Anne herself. While Anne had spent years quietly fulfilling her duties and building a reputation based on dedication, Diana's sudden rise to fame left her feeling overshadowed. To the public, Diana's charm and visibility seemed to redefine what it meant to be a working royal. Anne's dedication to traditional royal values suddenly appeared out of sync with the new wave of public expectations ushered in by Diana. This sense of rivalry was compounded by Anne's perception that Diana actively sought media attention. Diana's ability to generate headlines, whether for her style, charity work, or candid emotional expressions, left Anne feeling that her own contributions were undervalued. Her traditional approach seemed less relevant in the face of Diana's emotionally accessible style, further breeding an underlying sense of competition. Despite the early signs of friction, Diana initially tried to form a connection with Anne. She admired Anne's work ethic and expressed a desire to learn from her, hoping to build a relationship that could transcend their differences. However, Anne's reserved nature made her a challenging figure to approach. She responded to Diana's overtures with cool detachment. Anne often saw herself as a grounded royal who avoided emotional displays, whereas Diana's vulnerability and openness made her an unpredictable presence that Anne struggled to understand. Over time, Diana's continued efforts to engage with Anne were met with polite but firm resistance. Anne's reluctance to bond with Diana was not rooted in malice but stemmed from her belief in maintaining a certain distance within royal relationships. To Anne, too much familiarity risked blurring the lines of respect and duty that she valued deeply. Diana's modern approach, where personal connections were seen as an asset, felt foreign to Anne, who had spent her life navigating her royal role with a practical and, at times, blunt approach. The fundamental difference in outlook only fueled the silent tension between them and ultimately contributed to Diana's feelings of increasing isolation within the family. As Diana's popularity grew, so too did Anne's frustration with the way Diana's presence seemed to alter public perceptions of royalty. Anne feared that Diana's openness with the press could potentially destabilize the monarchy, as it encouraged the public to focus on individual personalities rather than the institution itself. To Anne, this was a dangerous precedent, one that would shift the balance of royal duty from serving the collective good to emphasizing personal stories. This concept was entirely at odds with Anne's deeply held beliefs. This underlying tension would define their relationship in the years to come. Diana's arrival had fundamentally altered the landscape of the royal family, creating a rift between the old guard, represented by Anne's unwavering loyalty to tradition, and the new approach symbolized by Diana's accessibility and emotional depth. The differences between them ran deeper than simple disagreements. They represented a generational divide within the monarchy, a tug-of-war between tradition and transformation. Little did either of them know, this tension would continue to shape both of their legacies and influence how the public and future royals viewed the role of the monarchy in a rapidly changing world. The christening of Princess Anne's daughter Zara in 1981 marked a significant turning point in Anne and Diana's already strained relationship. What should have been a joyous family occasion became a moment laden with tension and unspoken grievances, ultimately deepening the rift between the two women. Diana's decision not to attend the christening was not only unexpected but also widely interpreted as a slight, underscoring the differences in how each woman approached royal life and family obligations. The christening took place just a few months before Diana's highly publicized wedding to Prince Charles. The excitement surrounding the upcoming royal wedding was at its peak, yet despite the mounting pressure of wedding preparations, Diana's absence at Zara's christening raised eyebrows. As was customary, The christening was a formal gathering for the royal family, an occasion steeped in tradition and protocol that Anne had taken great care to uphold. To Anne, attendance at such family events was more than just a duty, it was an essential aspect of belonging to the monarchy, a demonstration of unity and loyalty that transcended personal circumstances. Diana's choice not to attend the christening sent a clear message. Her excuse, as she later relayed to Anne, was that she was busy preparing for the wedding ball that would take place that evening in her honor. The timing of the excuse struck Anne as inconsiderate. The royal family rarely, if ever, prioritized social events over ceremonial duties, especially one as meaningful as a christening. In Anne's eyes, Diana's absence symbolized a lack of respect not only for her as Zara's mother but also for the family's long-standing traditions. This was not merely a matter of attending or missing a family function, it spoke to a fundamental difference in values, one that Anne could neither understand nor overlook. The absence was made all the more awkward by the presence of Andrew Parker Bowles, Anne's former romantic interest and now a godfather to Zara. Andrew was married to Camilla, whose history with Prince Charles was already casting a shadow over Diana's engagement. Diana had heard rumors of Charles's lingering affection for Camilla, and she was reportedly distressed by the idea of encountering Camilla and her husband at such a close-knit family gathering. The emotional strain this caused may have factored into Diana's decision to be absent. However, the nuance of these personal concerns did little to soften Anne's disappointment. To Anne, family gatherings required full attendance and unspoken decorum regardless of personal discomfort. The fallout from Diana's absence was felt almost immediately, as family members quietly murmured about her decision. Some questioned her commitment to the royal fold. Though Anne refrained from making public statements, those close to her noticed a distinct chill in her attitude toward Diana from that point onward. In private, Anne reportedly expressed frustration over what she saw as a disregard for royal responsibilities. The christening was more than just a family milestone, it was a manifestation of the unity that held the monarchy together. Diana's decision to opt out left Anne feeling as though the younger princess did not share her reverence for these sacred traditions. In the months that followed, Anne's interactions with Diana grew more formal, lacking the warmth one might expect between sisters-in-law. Where Diana was once eager to connect with Anne, she now sensed an unbridgeable distance. Anne's disappointment had solidified into a quiet resolve to keep Diana at arm's length. As the years went on, the christening of Zara Tindall remained a symbolic moment, a harbinger of the complex relationship that would unfold between Anne and Diana. This divergence would continue to shape their interactions, often manifesting in silent disapproval and mutual misunderstanding. In public, Diana and Anne maintained a facade of civility, navigating their differences with carefully measured politeness. Their relationship, though strained behind closed doors, was veiled under royal decorum. Both women were acutely aware of the public scrutiny that surrounded them. Yet, even with their efforts to present a united front, moments of visible tension occasionally broke through, offering the media and public a glimpse into their complex dynamic. One of the more telling signs of tension was Anne's reserved demeanor whenever she was around Diana. Unlike other members of the royal family who often greeted Diana warmly, Anne's interactions with her were formal, almost businesslike. On public engagements where they were seen together, Anne frequently kept a physical and emotional distance, and her expressions revealed little warmth. The media, ever attuned to the royal family's inner workings, quickly picked up on these differences. They went out of their way to capture photos that highlighted their contrasting styles. Diana's interactions with the public were always vibrant. She would smile, engage with children, and make eye contact with people in the crowd, a style that came to define her as the people's princess. In contrast, Anne maintained a more traditional, restrained approach, always focusing on her official duties with minimal fanfare. Where Diana was expressive, Anne was stoic. Where Diana sought connection, Anne appeared distant. The press crafted narratives about an old versus new dynamic within the monarchy, with Anne embodying the traditional approach and Diana symbolizing a modernized, accessible royalty. One memorable public moment that underscored their differences came during the christening of Prince William. Photographers captured Anne arriving alone, dressed in her typically understated style. She offered brief, polite exchanges with family members before taking her seat. Diana, by contrast, was the center of attention. She glowed as she held her newborn son and was constantly surrounded by admirers. Although this was not a confrontational event, the subtle contrasts in their mannerisms were revealing. The press noted how Anne's reserved presence seemed almost indifferent, contrasting sharply with Diana's more emotional and engaging demeanor. As Diana's popularity soared, Anne's position as a working royal became overshadowed, and the media's portrayal of their relationship grew increasingly polarized. Royal experts and biographers often depicted Anne as dismissive of Diana, labeling her as cold or detached. Documentaries and interviews with royal insiders hinted at Anne's disapproval of Diana's media presence, suggesting that Anne viewed her sister-in-law's publicity as a distraction from the monarchy's core responsibilities. This media framing further fueled the narrative that the two women represented opposing forces within the royal family. In retrospect, their public relationship reflected two competing visions within the monarchy. Their contrasting personas and approaches left a lasting impression, illustrating the monarchy's internal struggle to balance tradition with evolving public expectations. Amid rumors and revelations, Anne's reactions to Diana's challenges during her years in the royal spotlight revealed their differing perspectives. Princess Diana faced intense media scrutiny, public judgment, and battles with mental health that were often painfully public. While much of the world sympathized with her visible struggles, Princess Anne initially responded with skepticism. She viewed Diana's difficulties through a lens shaped by her own reserved nature and traditional understanding of royal duty. Anne's reactions, rooted in her deep sense of pragmatism, often appeared distant. She struggled to empathize with Diana's very public battles, which conflicted with her belief in keeping personal issues away from public view. And skepticism toward Diana's relationship with the media was evident early on. To Anne, the solution to Diana's problems seemed straightforward: withdraw from the media, avoid feeding the public frenzy, and uphold the royal values of privacy and composure. This perspective led her to question the necessity of Diana's openness, particularly when Diana began discussing her mental health struggles, her battle with bulimia, and the emotional difficulties within her marriage. For Anne, such personal revelations seemed contrary to the restrained, stoic behavior she believed royals were meant to uphold. However, as the years passed and more details of Diana's struggles emerged, Anne's perspective began to shift. She could no longer ignore the immense pressure Diana had endured or how her vulnerability had resonated with people around the world. Reports from those close to Diana revealed the toll of her deteriorating mental health, exacerbated by an unforgiving media and an isolating royal life. Privately, Anne began to acknowledge that Diana's struggles were not merely attention-seeking but symptoms of deeper pain, a pain that perhaps only someone in Diana's position could fully understand. Diana's infamous 1995 interview with the BBC's Panorama marked a pivotal moment for the royal family and forced Anne to confront the depth of Diana's suffering. In the interview, Diana spoke candidly about her mental health battles, feelings of isolation within the royal family, and the challenges in her marriage. Watching the interview was a shock for Anne. She had underestimated the extent of Diana's inner turmoil and felt a pang of regret for her earlier judgments. It became clear that Diana's struggles were far more complex and profound than Anne had assumed, leading her to recognize the weight of the challenges Diana had silently carried. This realization did not come easily for Anne. Diana's journey showed that not all challenges could be overcome by simply hiding emotions. While Anne remained committed to her own approach, she began to see that both women, in their own ways, had faced the burdens of royal life. Diana's openness, though contrary to Anne's beliefs, had a positive impact, inspiring conversations about mental health that had long been taboo. In the end, Anne's reaction to Diana's challenges evolved into one of growth. Her initial skepticism gradually gave way to understanding and regret, highlighting Anne's own journey of self-reflection. It demonstrated that even the most steadfast royals are capable of evolving views. The tragic loss of Princess Diana in 1997 cast a shadow over the royal family, one that lingered for years. For Princess Anne, it marked the beginning of a period of deep personal reflection. As news of Diana's untimely death spread, Anne was confronted with the weight of unspoken words and unresolved tensions. In the quiet days that followed, she grappled with a profound sense of regret, feeling she had missed the opportunity to bridge the gap between them and offer Diana the support she needed. Now, at 74, Anne reflects on this period with a softened perspective. Over time, she has gained wisdom and acceptance of her own limitations, acknowledging privately that her relationship with Diana might have unfolded differently if she had approached it with more openness and understanding, and began to question whether her judgment of Diana had been too harsh and rigid. She wondered if she had misunderstood the vulnerability Diana so openly shared with the world. For Anne, it was challenging to view Diana's emotional openness as anything other than a weakness. Yet, as she reflected on Diana's life and the impact she had made, and felt an overwhelming sense of loss, not just for Diana as a family member but for the relationship that could have been. In private moments, Anne reportedly expressed this remorse to close friends and confidants. She admitted she wished she had been more supportive of Diana, regretting that she hadn't taken the time to understand Diana's unique approach to royal life or the toll it had taken on her mental health, and recognized that her own sense of duty and reserve might have prevented her from connecting with Diana on a deeper level. This realization haunted her, adding a personal dimension to the family's collective grief. Diana's passing also forced Anne to see that, despite their differences, Diana's legacy had left an indelible mark on the monarchy. It fundamentally reshaped how the public viewed the royal family. Where Anne had once feared that Diana's openness with the media might weaken the institution, she came to see that Diana's vulnerability had instead created a bridge between the royal family and the public, fostering empathy and understanding. The realization was bittersweet. While Anne respected the strength of tradition, she couldn't deny the value in Diana's approach, an approach she had once judged but now viewed with greater respect. As Anne reflected on her interactions with Diana, she also reconsidered her belief in restraint and privacy as the best ways to navigate royal life. While she remained committed to her principles, Diana's death opened her eyes to the importance of empathy and connection, and recognized that her strict adherence to royal protocol, while noble, might have made her appear distant or unapproachable, especially to someone like Diana, who sought acceptance and emotional support. This introspection led Anne to question whether a more compassionate approach could coexist with the monarchy's traditions, a realization that subtly influenced her outlook in the years that followed. In the years after Diana's death, Anne became more open to acknowledging the importance of mental health, a cause Diana had championed. Though she never publicly spoke about her regrets or explicitly addressed her evolving views, those close to her noticed a gentler edge to her demeanor and a subtle shift in her interactions. These changes hinted at the personal reflection Diana's death had inspired. Anne's regret remained largely private, a testament to her reserved nature and reluctance to reveal her innermost feelings. Yet, Diana's loss left an indelible mark. In her own way, Anne honored Diana's legacy by subtly embracing some of the values Diana had held dear. While Anne remained steadfast in her principles, Diana's passing opened her heart to the possibility of a more compassionate monarchy, one that balanced tradition with empathy. Though Anne's regrets remain private, they have quietly shaped her view of what it means to be both a royal and a sister. Diana's death left a lasting impact that echoed in Anne's actions and relationships for years to come. Whether Princess Anne will further adjust her thinking about royal duty and the evolution of the monarchy remains to be seen. What do you think? Share your thoughts with us in the comments, we'd love to hear from you.